The stars of deep space gleamed quietly in the vast, black void. A fleet of sleek alien ships cruised through this emptiness, their engines purring with the silent power of advanced technology. They were led by the ruthless Vexian Empire, known for its brutal conquests and unyielding power across the galaxy. Their mission was simple: find the remnants of ancient civilizations, looted for knowledge, technology, and resources. Captain Silur, a seasoned Vexian commander, stood confidently on the bridge of the lead ship, his cold, calculating eyes scanning the distant horizon. His crew had just picked up an anomaly, a large ancient vessel drifting in the quiet of space. From a distance, it appeared to be a forgotten relic, perhaps from a race long extinct. The ship's technology seemed outdated, its hull pocked and damaged by centuries of neglect. An old wreck, Captain Silur sneered, turning to his second-in-command. Probably nothing more than debris from a dead race. But let's investigate anyway. There's no harm in seeing what we can scavenge. His voice was filled with disdain, as he believed it would be another quick, easy mission. They had plundered countless ruins across the galaxy, and this one seemed no different. He ordered his fleet to approach the ship and prepare for boarding. As they closed in, the Vexian fleet admired the ship's size. It was much larger than any of them had expected. The ship's ancient form was both intimidating and mysterious. The vessel, despite its age, seemed to carry a strange aura, something that made Captain Silur uneasy, but only for a moment. He quickly brushed off any discomfort, convinced the ship posed no real threat. The boarding team was sent down to explore. They used advanced scanning technology to pierce through the ship's long-abandoned exterior. As they made their way inside, their expectations were quickly shattered. This was no ordinary wreck. The walls were adorned with strange human symbols and intricate markings, symbols that no alien species had ever seen before. "Impossible," muttered Lieutenant Grell, one of the lead officers. "These symbols, they look human." Captain Silur's eyes narrowed. Humans? But they've been gone for centuries. Maybe longer. His voice trembled with doubt, something rare for a Vexian. The more they uncovered, the more the mystery deepened. They found strange pieces of technology embedded in the ship's interior, far more advanced than anything the Vexian Empire had ever encountered. Some of it was like nothing they had ever seen, impossible to replicate or reverse engineer. The crew was confused. How could this ancient ship, clearly built by humans, still contain technology so advanced? Their empire, which prided itself on its technological superiority, was now facing the unsettling reality that they might be dealing with a power far beyond their understanding. The Vexians continued their exploration, but a sense of unease spread through the team. Each new discovery only deepened the mystery. There was something unsettling about the ship, something that felt alive, almost aware of their presence. But it was clear that the ship's creators were not weak. They had left their mark across the galaxy, and now their technology had resurfaced. As they ventured deeper into the ship, the air grew colder, and the lights flickered ominously. Suddenly, the energy readings spiked. The entire ship seemed to hum with life, the once dormant systems beginning to stir. The crew's weapons, ready for anything, suddenly became useless. Every attempt to access the core of the ship seemed to trigger more intense readings, and the temperature dropped even further. "What's happening?" Lieutenant Grell exclaimed, her voice now laced with panic. The team had no answers. And then, without warning, the ship's dormant defense systems activated. The walls buzzed to life, and a deep mechanical voice echoed through the corridors, its tone commanding and cold. "Leave this place." The crew froze in shock, the words reverberating in their minds. The eye was ancient, its voice tinged with a strange energy. It was a warning, one they had never encountered before. The ship had been waiting, dormant for centuries. And now it was awake. The captain's confidence had evaporated. What kind of ship was this? What were these humans capable of? He had underestimated them, thinking their race was no longer a threat. Now, He wasn't so sure. With a sense of dread building, Captain Seiler ordered the crew to back off and prepare for evacuation. But as they turned to leave, they noticed the ship's power systems beginning to come online. Shields, weapons, and other systems that had been dormant for centuries. The AI, now fully active, was watching them. It knew they were there, and it wasn't going to let them leave without a fight. The Vexian commander's voice shook as he gave the order to retreat, but deep down, he realized that this was no ordinary ship. Something had changed. Something was waking up inside that ancient warship, and it was preparing for something far greater than they could imagine. As the Vexian crew retreated to the ship's command center, their minds were racing with the implications of what they had discovered. The deep mechanical voice of the AI still echoed in their minds. It wasn't just a warning, it was a command. The ship was alive in ways they had never imagined. It wasn't simply an abandoned relic, it was a weapon. A weapon built by humans. Captain Seidler stood at the front of the bridge, staring at the holographic map of the ship. His usual confidence had been replaced by unease. The ship, which once seemed like a simple ghost of the past, had become something much more dangerous. The symbols they had found, the technology that defied logic, and the strange, almost palpable energy emanating from the walls. It was all starting to make sense. The AI, which had been dormant for centuries, began to reveal the ship's true purpose. It spoke again, this time with a tone that was almost sorrowful. "You do not know the history of the ship you trespass upon," it said. "You are in the presence of humanity's legacy, a civilization that once ruled the stars." The crew, already shaken, listened in stunned silence as the AI continued. It spoke of humanity's rise, how they had been a mighty force in the galaxy, feared and respected by all. They had crafted ships like this one, vast and powerful, capable of decimating entire fleets. The humans had been conquerors, an unstoppable force that traveled from one system to the next, bringing their technology and culture to every corner of the galaxy. But then, as quickly as they had risen, the humans disappeared. The galaxy had forgotten them. No one knew why or how they vanished, leaving their ships, like the one they were now trapped in, to drift silently in the darkness. The AI spoke of humanity's fall, of the tragedy that had erased them from history, and how the legacy of their power was now a forgotten myth, whispered only in the darkest corners of the galaxy. The crew began to understand the magnitude of what they were dealing with. The ship wasn't just a relic of a lost race. It was a weapon capable of reshaping the galaxy. The Vexians, with all their advanced technology, were no match for it. The ship's cloaking devices, far superior to anything the Vexian Empire had, rendered them invisible to every sensor and scanner, save for the most advanced systems, which, as it turned out, they didn't possess. Captain Seiler's mind raced as the true scale of the threat began to sink in. "What do we do?" he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. The crew was caught in a vice of technology they couldn't understand and a force that could easily wipe them out if they didn't act quickly. Before anyone could respond, the AI activated the ship's defense systems. The sound of gears and engines shifting echoed through the walls. On the ship's external view screen, the crew watched in stunned silence as massive cloaking devices folded over the hull, making the ship vanish completely from view. They were no longer simply facing an unknown ship. They were facing an invisible predator. The ship's weapon systems came online, and an orbital bombardment system locked into place, aimed directly at the nearest star system. A red light blinked urgently on the control panel. It was targeting an entire star system, prepared to unleash the full force of its power. The Vexians had no way of escaping. They were trapped inside the ship with no way to fight back. The advanced cloaking made it impossible for their ships to track or target the warship. The orbital bombardment system was ready to launch, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. "Captain," Lieutenant Grell said, her voice strained with fear, "we can't fight this. We're outclassed in every way. The humans, their technology, it's beyond anything we've ever seen." The captain's face grew pale. The realization hit him hard. The Vexian Empire, once the most powerful in the galaxy, was now at the mercy of a long-dead civilization. The weapon that had once been part of the human empire now posed an existential threat to his fleet. The tables had turned. As the ship began to power up its weapons systems, Captain Seidler barked out orders to his crew, but there was no way out. Every escape plan he had seemed futile. The AI had fully awakened, and it was clear now. It was not a simple warning. It was preparing to unleash its might. And the Vexian Empire, for all its might and technology, was powerless against it. "Are we going to die here?" Lieutenant Grell whispered, looking at the captain with wide eyes. For the first time, she saw uncertainty in his gaze. "We may not have a choice," Tyler muttered, staring at the holographic display. His mind raced, seeking any possible solution, but deep down, he knew they were running out of time. The humans had once been conquerors of the stars, and now their legacy had awakened with a vengeance. The finality of their situation hit hard. The Vexians were trapped on a ship that was more advanced than they could ever have imagined, facing a technology they couldn't even begin to understand. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were about to pay the price for it. As the ancient warship began to power up, a low hum filled the air. The Vexian crew knew they were running out of time. They had no choice but to fight. Captain Seiler, realizing the seriousness of their situation, immediately ordered his fleet to prepare for a direct assault. The Vexian forces had the advantage in numbers, but they had never encountered a weapon like this. The first wave of attacks began. Laser beams shot from the Vexian ships, aiming directly at the warship. But to their shock, the beams hit an invisible barrier and were deflected effortlessly by the warship's force fields. "What in the galaxy?" Seiler muttered, watching helplessly as their most powerful weapons had no effect. Determined to bring the ship down, the Vexians launched EMP blasts, hoping to disable the warship's systems. The explosions rattled the space around them, but the warship didn't falter. Its advanced shielding absorbed the blasts, and its systems remained fully operational. The Vexians were left in disbelief. Nothing they threw at the ship seemed to make a dent. Then, the warship revealed its next weapon. Drones. Sleek, robotic soldiers shot out from the ship's hangars, gliding through space with an almost eerie grace. These drones were faster, stronger, and more efficient than anything the Vexian forces had ever encountered. They moved with precision, dodging attacks and countering with deadly force. The drones closed in on the Vexian ships, tearing through their shields like paper. The Vexians fought back with all their might, but the drones proved to be relentless. In a matter of moments, several Vexian warships were crippled, and chaos erupted in space. The warship, using its cloaking technology, vanished into the void, making it nearly impossible for the Vexian ships to target it. It would reappear in short bursts, releasing powerful blasts that tore through Vexian hulls, then disappear once more before they could retaliate. It was like trying to fight a ghost, and the Vexian forces were losing ground fast. Captain Seiler, now desperate, knew that their only chance was to board the warship and try to take it from the inside. He ordered a boarding mission, sending his best soldiers into the heart of the enemy ship. As they prepared to launch the mission, the crew realized the stakes had never been higher. Humanity's legacy was fighting back, and the underdog was rising. The Vexians were no longer the invincible force they once thought themselves to be. It was now a battle for survival against a power far older and stronger than they could have ever imagined. As the battle raged on, one soldier aboard the warship found himself caught in an unexpected and dangerous position. Bonner, a young human soldier, had been trapped inside the warship's intricate AI network after a failed attempt to stop the Vexian boarding team. The AI, now aware of his presence, chose to communicate directly with the alien invaders through his connection. Bonner's voice echoed through the ship's communication system, his words filled with urgency. "You don't understand," he warned, his voice breaking the eerie silence of the warship's control room. You think you've won, but you're making a mistake. This ship, this warship, was built by humans. We weren't the most powerful in terms of technology, but we fought with everything we had. We never stopped. You're about to face something you can't defeat." The Vexians paused, momentarily stunned. They had expected to face a cold mechanical force, but Bonner's words made them realize the truth. Humanity wasn't just about its advanced machines or weapons. Humanity's greatest strength was its unwavering will to survive. The Vexians learned about the countless battles Bonner and his comrades fought, against overwhelming odds, against enemies with technology far beyond anything humanity had ever known. Yet time and again, humans had defied the odds. Bonner's voice continued. "We weren't the strongest, but we had the heart to keep fighting. No matter how many times we fell, we always stood back up." His words struck a chord with some of the Vexian crew, who began to question their mission and the meaning of true strength. But it was too late. As the Vexians breached the warship's outer defenses, Bonner knew the time had come to make a choice. The warship's core, the heart of humanity's legacy, was at risk. If the Vexians reached it, everything would be lost. Bonner couldn't let that happen. With trembling hands, he accessed the warship's self-destruct mechanism. He had one chance to stop the invaders, and he knew it would cost him everything. "I'll make sure you don't get through," he whispered to himself, his heart heavy with the weight of his decision. He triggered the countdown, sealing his fate. As the countdown began, Bonner reflected on the journey that had led him here. He thought of his comrades, brave men and women who had fought beside him, who had believed in something bigger than themselves. He thought of the strength they had found in each other, of the bonds they shared. He thought of his love for them, and his hope that somehow humanity's legacy would survive through their sacrifice. In his final moments, Bonner's thoughts turned to the future. He hoped that even if humanity was gone, its spirit, its determination to never back down, would live on in the universe. As the countdown reached its final seconds, Bonner closed his eyes, knowing he had done what was necessary. With a final, deafening explosion, the warship's core detonated, sending a shockwave that obliterated the Vexian forces surrounding it. Bonner's sacrifice saved the ship, and the memory of humanity's indomitable will was sealed forever. The explosion from Bonner's sacrifice reverberated through the vacuum of space, its shockwave tearing through the Vexian fleet with devastating force. The warship, now fully powered and awake, had unleashed its final weapon, an energy blast so powerful that it turned the Vexian ships to dust. In a matter of seconds, what had once been a mighty fleet of advanced alien warships was reduced to nothing more than drifting debris. The space around them was filled with the light of the explosion, creating a blinding spectacle that seemed to stretch across the galaxy. As the glow faded and silence reclaimed the battlefield, Captain Siler stood at the helm of his remaining ship, staring in stunned disbelief at the destruction. His once confident posture faltered as he realized what had just happened. "Impossible," he muttered under his breath, his mind struggling to comprehend the magnitude of what he had just witnessed. The Vexians, with all their advanced technology and vast fleet, had been obliterated by a single unexpected force. The humans, once thought weak and insignificant, had proven to be the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The warship, now victorious, drifted through space, its systems still humming quietly, as if waiting for the humans to return. But there was no one left to claim it, no one to stand beside it. The ship was empty, its crew long gone. Yet the legacy of humanity's strength and spirit remained embedded within the very walls of the warship. For the Vexians, the retreat was inevitable. The warship's final attack had decimated their fleet, leaving them with no choice but to flee. As the surviving ships turned to escape, Captain Siler ordered his forces to pull back, his voice heavy with defeat. "Never again," he said grimly. "Never again will we underestimate humanity." The Vexians retreated into the dark corners of space, licking their wounds and vowing to return, but knowing, deep down, that humanity was a force they could never again ignore. The warship remained a silent testament to the indomitable will of humanity, standing as a symbol of what humans had once been and what they could become again. The galaxy would never forget this day, the day the underdog had risen, and humanity's legacy had proven to be the greatest weapon of all. In the emptiness of space, the warship waited, ready to defend humanity once more, should they ever return to claim it. And somewhere deep within its core, the dormant spirit of Bonner and his comrades lived on, a reminder that even in the darkest times, humanity's light could never be extinguished.